This is the Tech Phantom, and welcome to episode 22 of this walkthrough. And like the previous video, this one needs to be viewed along with a previous episode for a more complete or a more continuous telling of the lore. So I would highly recommend that if you can, you go ahead and you rewatch episode 8 and then watch this episode, episode 22, again for a more continuous telling of the lore for the Witch of Izalith. Alright, but enough about that. Let's get started. And we are going to be talking to Eingyi. And he's got a little bit of a mouth on him. And he is very protective of the fair lady. And we've put up with enough from him. So he really doesn't have anything useful. So we are going to open him up. And we see that he has maggots inside of him. And we're going to take care of these very quickly. And he drops an egg vermifuge. So this is actually an item that can help you get cured if you are infected by those worms that hatch from his body. And the next thing we're going to do here is we need to achieve a +2 level on the Chaos Covenant. And in order to do that, we need to offer 30 humanity to the Daughter of Chaos. So that is going to take us a little bit of time to do. So in the next, through the magic of video editing, in the next 30 seconds or so, I'm going to go ahead and I'm going to first equip 30 humanity, or have 30 humanity on me, and then I'm going to offer them to the Daughter of Chaos. So we will be back soon after offering up some humanity. Alright, so we have 30 humanity on us, and now we are going to start offering that humanity. And this is something that I really wish gets implemented on the next Dark Souls game, if they are going to force us to offer humanity or offer other goods to Covenant Keepers in order to advance ranks in a Covenant. I wish it would be able to do multiples as opposed to one at a time, but we can't do it in Dark Souls, so we just have to suffer and offer the humanity one at a time. Alright, so now we just have to give her a little bit more humanity. And I mean, this really doesn't take a long time, but it's just a boring thing to do. It takes about 5 or 6 minutes of just pushing the buttons to do it. And that should do it. We have gotten the Chaos Storm Pyromancy, and we have also leveled up in her Covenant, and we are now a +2 member. In her Covenant, we are a +2 Chaos Servant. And let's very quickly take a look at the Pyromancy that she gave us as a reward for giving her so much humanity. So this is an Art of the Flame of Chaos, which engulfed the Witch of Izalith and her daughters. Erect localized Chaos Fire Pillars. So this is interesting. This says that the Chaos Flame actually created this advanced pyromancy. So that's a little bit puzzling. We thought the pyromancies came from the Witch of Izalith, but this specific pyromancy actually comes from the Chaos Flame itself. And if you remember, in episode 8, we started talking about the lore of the Witch of Izalith, and she was trying to recreate the first flame, and we don't know why she was doing that. She was either doing that under her own volition, you know, because she wanted to do it, or she had been asked by Lord Wynn to do it. Those are the two options that, you know, that I've sort of that I'm speculating about. and she just could not control the flame, and she was engulfed by it. And she merged with it, and she eventually became the Bat of Chaos. Alright, so now the other thing that I should have mentioned that I didn't talk about is that supposedly as you give the Fair Lady, as you give the Daughter of Chaos more humanity, it eases her pain, it makes her feel better, and this makes her more mobile. So personally, I haven't seen any difference in the leg flailing or head bobbing or the movement as I gave her more humanity, but I really wasn't looking out for that. So you guys can go back and take a look at the video, or you can look for this as you do your own walkthrough, and see if you can tell if the Fair Lady is more mobile after you give her a little bit more humanity. So this is one of, to me, this is one of the most humane covenants to be in, and that's because the Fair Lady is a very saintly character. After all, she's the one that helped Eingyi. She sucked the pus out of him, so she's very helpless. And everyone that joins her covenant is more than willing to give her humanity to ease her pain, because she's such a saintly and such a selfless character. So Eingyi has given her humanity. Actually, he's at her beck and call, trying to do anything that he can to ease her pain. And her sister, the other daughter of Chaos, Quella, who turned into a demon and attacked us. She attacked us because she wanted our humanity in order to give to her sister. So there are a lot of NPCs in Dark Souls that recognize the goodness in Quella, in the Daughter of Chaos, and are willing to give her humanity to ease her pain. Alright, but enough about the Daughter of Chaos, even though she's a pretty interesting character. So we have been taking on these minor tourist demons, and it is quite possible to evade the demons altogether if you have a special item that will allow you to walk on lava. And the easier thing to do if you don't want to take as much damage as you're going over the lava is to equip this ring, which we will get later on in this video. But I'm not going to do it here. I'm just going to go ahead and take my chances. I am going to cast Flash Sweat, and that's going to decrease a little bit the amount of fire damage that I take. But as you can see, I took quite a bit of damage, and my health life, my vitality bar, went down at a very fast rate, so you have to be very careful. And it does help when you roll using the Dark Wood Green Ring, because that reduces the amount of time that your feet, that you're actually touching the lava, and the shorter the time that you're in contact with the lava, the less life that you're going to lose. So using Flash Sweat and using the Dark Wood Green Ring allowed me enough time that I was able to get the Chaos Ember, and now I'm trying to get the Solaire. So let's talk a little bit about the Chaos Ember. So this is a special ember that is supposedly very, very ancient, and it's an art from the lost city of Izalith, and it's to be given only to ancient blacksmiths. So Vamos is actually the blacksmith that will accept this ember. So that means that Vamos is very, very ancient, and that Vamos is familiar with the arts from the city of Izalith. And we will talk, we will speculate as to why the city was lost, why it is now called Lost Izalith. And it's also interesting that the Chaos Ember allows you to make Chaos weapons, and Chaos weapons will deal fire damage that scales with humanity. And that makes sense because pyromancy is inherently tied to one's humanity. In this area, which is associated with the Witch of Izalith and her daughters, you know, it's full of pyromancy and fire arts. So it would make sense that we would find an ember here that would allow us to make chaos weapons. All right, so as we're progressing, we are invaded by Kirk as a dark spirit. Kirk is the Knight of Thorns. And this is the second time that he has invaded us. The first time was in the depths. And you need to have placed the Lord Vessel for him to invade you in this location here. And I like to bring him close to the fog gate so that I have more time to take him out and do backstab on him and then finish him. And he drops quite a bit of souls, so I always recommend that if you can, go human and make sure that you are invaded by the NPCs. They will drop good items. In some cases, you will have access to their armor, like we did with Paladin Leroy down in the catacombs. And as you go further into the game, they drop, you know, a pretty high number of souls. So souls are always useful in Dark Souls because they help you advance your build or they help you buy useful items. Alright, and then we come to this this bonfire here that's protected by a burrowing rockworm. And you need to be careful of these enemies because they're pretty strong and they pack quite a wallop. But they also have a puking attack. They will spew acid, and if it hits you, it will immediately damage your armor and your equipment. So you need to be very, very careful of that spewing attack. Alright, so we have quite a bit of souls, so we are going to go ahead and we are going to increase our endurance a little bit more. We are trying to get to 40 endurance if we can in this build. And we are going to repair all of our equipment. Now, it's important that you repair your equipment when you're walking over lava. Even if you have the special ring that allows you to take little damage. You won't take a lot of damage, but your equipment will wear pretty fast. So you'll see me, and you've probably seen me repair equipment almost every time I'm at a bonfire, and that is just a good habit. Well, I don't know if I want to say a good habit. That is just a habit that I get into because my favorite weapon is the washing pole, and that item, that weapon doesn't have a lot of durability. It wears pretty quickly, so I got into this habit where whenever I got to a bonfire, I'd always start repairing the equipment because I was paranoid that my washing pole was going to wear and was going to break right in the middle of the fight. So it's almost like second nature. I'm at a bonfire and I start repairing equipment, but in this area, that's actually a pretty smart thing to do. Not just because of the lava, but also because of the burrowing rockworms, which, you know, might damage your equipment. So, alright, so we are making our way through this area here, and we are going to pick up another ember. And this is going to be the large flame ember. And again, this is another ember that you can give to Vamos, and he will make fire weapons that can go up to a +10. And they won't scale with humanity. They'll just deal straight fire damage. So this is sort of pairs with the Chaos Ember, which we picked up earlier, which you can also give to Vamos, and like we said, that one will allow you to make fire weapons that will scale with humanity, that will do more damage as your humanity stock increases up to 10 humanity. Alright, so now we have to deal with these demonic statues and the Taurus demons and the burrowing rockworms. And we are going to go into a boss fight. And we are going to be meeting another boss. It's the third and final iteration of the Northern Undead Asylum demon that we faced. And this time we are up against the Demon Firesage. And he looks just like the Northern Undead Asylum demon, but he is covered in fire, and he has a weapon that has quite a bit of range. And he's going to drop an item that is very, very interesting, and it has a lot of lore to tell us. And we are going to pick up the Demon's Catalyst, and if you look at the description for the Demon Catalyst, it's going to tell you that the Demon Firesage was actually the first demon, and he was the last master of the original fire arts before the Witch of Izalith was engulfed by chaos. So there's a lot of information there. So the Demon Firesage was the first demon. That means that we are getting close to where the Witch of Izalith was and where the first flame is, because we know that the first flame is tainting everything and everyone and turning them into demons. So if the Demon Firesage is the first demon, then we know that we're close to the Witch of Izalith. The Demon Catalyst also tells us that the Demon Firesage, before he was a demon, he was a sage of fire. He was a fire sage, and a sage is a learned or a wise person. So before the Chaos Flame, there were fire arts instead of pyromancies. Pyromancies were actually created by the Chaos Flame, that engulfed the Witch of Izalith when she tried to recreate the first flame. So anyway, before there were pyromancies, there were fire arts, and these fire arts were controlled or were cast by fire sages, and they used catalysts that could deal damage, fire damage, such as the Demon's Catalyst that we picked up. And so the interesting thing is that prior to pyromancies being in existence, when there were only fire arts were very similar to miracles, or I guess they were more similar to sorceries, in that you needed intelligence to cast them and you needed a catalyst to cast them. When the Chaos Flame came about, all of that changed. Everything was changed. Fire arts became pyromancies, and instead of needing a catalyst, pyromancies were able to take some of their own humanity, and they were able to make a pyro glove or a pyro hand out of that they would use to cast pyromancies. So the Fire Sage Demon is an NPC that we barely interact with. We have one boss fight with him, but if you look at the lore, at the description of the item that he drops, it's incredibly rich and gives us a lot of information. Alright, and if you drop to the right here and go around underneath the branch, you will pick up a soul item, but I plain forgot to do that. But I did want to mention it, since this is supposed to be a secrets walkthrough as well. Okay, so here we find Solaire's summon sign, and we are going to go ahead and we are going to summon him for some jolly cooperation. So Solaire, once again, he beats us to the punch, and in spite of the fact that he doesn't have equipment which looks to be very, very good or very, very impressive, and in spite of sporting a fat roll, he always gets to checkpoints ahead of us. So somehow he is just, you know, he's either very, very strong or powerful, or he's got some way of advancing, but there's definitely something going on with Solaire that we need to investigate. Alright, so we are going to go into a fight with the Centipede Demon. And like I mentioned in episode 8, this is the demon that was created when Ceaseless Discharge dropped his ring into the lava. And Ceaseless is one of the most tragic figures in the game. And if you remember the story from episode 8, Ceaseless was born with sores that were filled with lava, and they caused him quite a bit of pain, and his sisters took pity on him and they created a ring, and the ring would lessen or would decrease the amount of pain that he would suffer from his lava-filled pores. But Ceaseless was a little bit brutish and a little bit dumb or careless, and he dropped the ring, and he dropped it down here into the lava. And because this is an area that is close to where the Witch of Izalith was engulfed by the Chaos Flame, which is tainting everything and changing everyone around here, the ring turned into this demon. It turned into the Centipede Demon. So the fight is actually, I think, a little bit easier with Solaire, and not in this case, but most of the time, if you want to have an easier fight, you can let the Centipede Demon sort of focus his attentions on Solaire, and you can start attacking at the Centipede Demon's legs. But so far this hasn't happened, and Solaire really hasn't been much help, and I was very lucky that I didn't die there, because the Centipede Demon punched me like a toddler for a few seconds. So when you cut off the Centipede Demon's arm, there's actually a section of him that is walking around, and you can see it, that's still around, and that is the section that has the ring, and that section's still alive, still moving, so I need to finish it off, and I'm going to do that, and when I do that, I receive the orange charge ring, and that is the item that Ceaseless Discharge dropped onto the lava, and that is the item that lessens or decreases the damage you suffer from lava. So this is the way the game gives you to proceed forward and to walk on lava, you know, without taking a lot of damage. And the ring here is retelling the story of Ceaseless Discharge, but I didn't want to wait until the very end and hurry through his story. I wanted to tell you guys or rehash his story a little bit as we had the boss fight with Ceaseless Discharge. Okay, and now that we have finished with Ceaseless, we can move on. Okay, so we equipped the orange charred ring, and now we are able to walk on lava, and we don't take much of any damage. But like I said, your equipment will wear at a faster rate, so it's a good idea to, as soon as you get to a bonfire, to start repairing it. And we are looking for the way forward, and there's an opening through a cave right here, and we are going to come up on Solaire to our left and a bonfire to our right. And when we talk to Solaire, he sounds a little bit depressed. He says, why, after all the searching, I still cannot find it. So his son, his flame, his purpose, whatever it is that he was trying to find, after all the searching, he still cannot find it. And he is very depressed, and at this point, he's very, very vulnerable. And it is actually at this exact point in the game that you can decide Solaire's fate. You can decide whether Solaire will live, or you can decide whether Solaire will turn hollow. And It's very operatic, and it's actually almost genius of the developers that at this point of the game, Solaire is so vulnerable because he's so down and he's so depressed, and the game gives you the option to either help him out or not. And since we have been following his plotline pretty closely in this walkthrough, we are going to go ahead and we're going to attempt to save Solaire during this walkthrough. Okay, so we are now back at the lair of the Daughter of Chaos. And this time, and we are still wearing the orange charred ring because there is an orange booth under my endurance bar. So hopefully I'll remember to remove my ring and put another ring. But this time when we step on this green elevator, it actually works and we open up the shortcut. And this is a pretty useful shortcut because it's going to allow access to the demon ruins. So now we can, whenever we want to get to the demon ruins, we can warp to the Fair Lady, the Fair Lady's bonfire, the Daughter of Chaos, and then we can use that shortcut. And I don't need the fire protection of the gold hem set, so I'm going to switch back to my preferred outfit, which is the cloak of the witch. And there's a soul item over here which we're going to pick up. And if you don't have full control, you want to keep going over to the right, and you want to drop onto the branch and walk all the way down. What I did instead, because I have full control, is I fell onto that offshoot, onto that smaller branch, and I fell down. And I could actually have fallen all the way down with full control and not taken any damage. Okay, and we proceed forward, and we come across some chaos bugs that lead us to a massive stone door. And we can touch this door and we can open it, but only if we are a +2 servant of the Chaos Covenant. And we need to be an active member of the Covenant, so you can't have achieved +2 and then switch to another Covenant. You need to be an active member. And we are looking for a Chaos Bug that has red eyes, and we found it and we kill it, and it drops the Sunlight Maggot, which is a loathsome parasite that inhabits Lost Izalith. It is completely immobile, yet still lives. And this is a very good source of light in par with Cast Light and with the Skull Lantern when you equip it as head armor. And by killing the Chaos Bug that has been infected with the Sunlight Maggot, we have actually saved Solaire. If you don't kill the Chaos Bug with the red eyes, because Solaire is enfeebled by his depression and he's very vulnerable, he is actually infected by the Sunlight Maggot, and he will wear the Sunlight Maggot on his head, and he will think that he will have found his son, and he will go completely insane and he will attack you here. But if you kill the Chaos Bug, and if you've done everything properly, you will find him here sitting down, and this will signify that we've saved him and that he will not go crazy and he will not go hollow. But he's still pretty depressed. He's saying, "Oh my dear son, what now? What should I do? Is everything that I have done for lies?" So he is still very depressed, and it could be that he's starting to remember his past, and he has just realized that Lord Wynn is dead when he tried to link the flame, so maybe he is in mourning for his father. Or it could be that Solaire has just realized that he is not a god, but actually that he is a lowly human, and he could never achieve godhood. Or it could be that he's find out what his dad, the Lord Wayne, has put into motion along with Old Father Lloyd, and with the Church of the Way of the White, and that is the sort of continuous enslavement of the undead in order to keep the flames going. But that appears to be a futile achievement, because there is the bonfires continue to dwindle, continue to get smaller and weaker. Even after they were linked, they were sort of strengthened by Lord Wynn. So we don't know what Solaire is thinking, but he's still pretty depressed. But at least we've saved him, and he will not go hollow. Alright, and we come across another item here, another enemy here, and this is a Chaos Eater. And these enemies can also damage your equipment, and actually they can pick you up and they can throw you in their mouth, and it's an instantaneous death, so you need to be very careful. And we find another Daughter of Chaos, and for whatever reason she was not affected by the Chaos Flame. She is not a demon. So unlike Ceaseless and Quella and Quelaag, this daughter still appears to be fine. And we are also invaded by Dark Spirit Knight Kirk for the third and final time. And we picked up his shield. And if you look at the description for his shield, is going to tell us that Kirk was an infamous Dark Wraith, and that he used a shield that was filled with spikes that could cause heavy bleeding. And here's another Chaos Eater. And we're gonna kill it. And boy, that enemy, the design for the Chaos Eater could really give you nightmares. And we find the Pyromancy Chaos Fire Whip. And if you look at the description for the item, it's going to tell us something really, really interesting. The description for the Chaos Fire Whip says that it was wielded by the eldest of the Daughters of Chaos, but it also says that it's an art of the Flame of Chaos. So it tells you a couple of things here. Number one, the daughter that we just killed was the eldest and maybe the most powerful of the daughters of the Witch of Izalith. And then the other thing that this item tells us is that it was created by the Chaos Flame. So it's the Chaos Flame, when it engulfed the Witch of Izalith, there wasn't an immediate or instantaneous transformation, but the transformation actually happened over some amount of time, and it could still be happening right now. And as the Witch of Izalith was being engulfed by the Chaos Flame, she was still able to make pyromancies through the power of the Chaos Flame, and she created the Chaos Fire Whip Pyromancy, which she gave to her eldest daughter. Alright, so we've come back to the Fair Lady's lair, and we pick up the rest of the armor of Kirk, and again it punctuates that the Fair Lady is very, very saintly, because she's able to convince Kirk, who was a Dark Wraith. She convinced him to give up that covenant and instead to join her covenant and to give her humanity. So the Fair Lady is very, very saintly. She was able to convince a couple of nasty characters, Kirk and Eingyi, to give up their ways and instead to join her covenant and ease her pain by giving her humanity. So, out of the original 7 daughters of the Witch of Izalith, and we know that there are 7 because you can go back and you can look at the opening video for Dark Souls, and there's a cutscene where the Witch of Izalith is surrounded by her 7 daughters. So out of the 7 daughters, we have found 5. We have found Quella, the Fair Lady, Quelaag, who attacked us when we went into her domain, Quella, who is a pyromancy teacher and the mother of pyromancy because she teaches pyromancy to humans. We found the eldest daughter here in Lost Izalith, And then we finally saw the body of another daughter that was being watched over by ceaseless discharge. So we don't know what happened to the other two daughters. We are only able to interact or to find five of them. And out of the five, only Quella and Quelag were turned into demons. And Quelag is the only true demon because Quellan is not really a true demon. She doesn't really attack you. Instead, she has a covenant that you can join and she tends the bonfire. So. But we have finally found the Witch of Izalith, or what has become of the Witch of Izalith. And she is actually merged with an archtree. So this is the Beta Chaos, and the Beta Chaos is a combination of the Chaos Flame, an archtree, the Witch of Izalith, and the original Lord Soul that the Witch of Izalith had. So what the game has told us so far is that the Witch of Izalith tried to recreate the first flame either by her own accord or under orders or suggestions by Lord Wind. She tried to recreate the first flame, but she was not able to control it. Instead, a chaos flame came about and engulfed her. And it's probably because the Lord Soul was so strong that the power of the Lord Soul, along with the power of the Witch of Izalith, combined and turned into this gigantic chaos flame that overtook her and started tainting everyone and everything. And as a matter of fact, this area was once a great city that had lots of fire arts, and it was just called Izalith. But when the Chaos Flame started tainting everything and turning everybody into demons, it became a lost city. And the Demon Ruins was probably another great city that fell into disrepair and into ruins when, again, the creatures and the inhabitants of that area were tainted, were transformed by the Chaos Flame, actually by the Bed of Chaos, were transformed into demons. Alright, so you guys are seeing me use a bow for the very first time in this walkthrough, and actually this is the very first time that I have ever tried to take on the Bed of Chaos with the bow. And I'm gonna use up a lot of arrows, and it's because I really don't know where the spot is, and because I'm not standing in the right location. I don't know where to aim, and I'm also too far back. You can get quite a bit closer, which I'm gonna try to do here in a little bit, but you can get closer and you can get sort of a clearer shot into that left route, which we need to clear before proceeding forward. But I've broken down and I've used I'm using a bow here, guys, just to try to maintain the continuity of the video a little bit. Alright, but let me continue talking about the lore for the Witch of Izalith. So, when the Witch of Izalith attempted to recreate the first flame and instead created the Chaos Flame, this caused a big problem for Lord Wind, because when he already had the problem that the darkness was starting to encroach into his domain, and the bonfires which keep the darkness at bay were starting to dwindle. Well, on top of that, the Chaos Flamer, which is now had turned the Witch of Izalith and itself into the Beta Chaos, was starting to turn everything into demons, including godly creatures like Quelag and the Fair Lady. So Lord Wind had to do something. So he actually led his Silver Knights into Lost Izalith, and they had battles with the Chaos Eaters. And if you look at the item description for for the shield and for some of the armor of the Dark Knights of Lord Wind, it'll tell you that the reason that their equipment and their shield, especially the shield, why the shield is dark and why it has such very high fire resistance, is because the Dark Knights, the original Silver Knights, battled the Chaos Eaters, and as they did so, their equipment turned blackish and it gained fire protection. So it wasn't because the Silver Knights or Lord Wind's Knights fought the dragons and the dragons spewed fire into the Knights and that they became the Black Knights. It was actually because they fought the Chaos Eaters and other demons that came forth when the Bed of Chaos tainted Izalith and the area which later became as the Demon Firesage. So this is another sort of horrific catastrophe for Lord Wind, because he has another huge problem to deal with. Not only does he have to worry about the flame, but he also has to worry about the Bed of Chaos. And it's obvious that he wasn't able to kill the Bed of Chaos, because we find the Bed of Chaos here and we're finally able to kill it. And we see what's left of the Witch of Izalith. She looks like a little bit of a cocoon and warm, but her immense power is manifested through this Bed of Chaos monster, which again is a combination of an Archtree, the Witch of Izalith, the Chaos Flame, and what remained of the Lord Soul, which wasn't completely consumed, or it wasn't transformed into the Chaos Flame when the Witch of Izalith attempted to duplicate the first flame. And I wanted to talk about this whole story prior to defeating the Bed of Chaos, because basically the story is right there as you guys saw it on the screen when you pull up the Lord Sword. So we are almost completely done with the great story of the Witch of Izalith. The only thing that's left is to go talk to Quella and to tell her that we have done as she requested, and we have put the Bed of Chaos, her mother, out of her misery. So we are back in the swamp in Blighttown, and here we found Quella for one last time. And she is going to thank us.
Very well. Thank you.
She's very thankful. She says, "I am blessed to have met you."
I suppose I can call you fool.
And
we
have gained quite a bit of stature in her eyes. She no longer thinks that we are fools. And she is going to give us the Pyromancy Fire Tempest, which she says, "This is all of me." And what she means by that is that this is her strongest pyromancy. So this is actually a big piece of herself. She's put everything that she has into this pyromancy, which is a primal pyromancy of Quella, and it is a much stronger version of Firestorm, and it's similar to the flames that were used by the Daughter of Chaos during the original wars with the dragons. Alright guys, that is going to do it for this episode. This is the Tech Phantom signing off.